I'm Nikki Beckett. I'm the Technical Sales Manager here at Clippard, and I'm going to talk to you about our capabilities and what we can bring to you as the distributor. One of the major strengths that Clippard brings to our distribution network is our design. We have an engineering team that is dedicated to designing special and value-added projects for our customers and distributors. We have 130 plus years of engineering design experience, and in addition to that resource as far as the manpower, we also have a new state-of-the-art engineering design lab which allows us to do design validations such as leak testing, high pressure testing, environmental testing, temperature, pressure, etc., cycle testing, and liquid flow tests. Clippard has many years manufacturing experience, and one of the things that we've learned over those years is that in order to be a leader in manufacturing, you need to invest in your employees. So one of the things that we put a lot of our investment in is training and keeping up to date with new techniques. For example, we've recently invested in a thermal deburring machine, which reduces the amount of hand deburring that we need to do and is much better than hand deburring as far as actually making sure all of the burrs are gone. We also have EDM machines, so we are now making our own tooling, which can cut down your lead time significantly by having all of our tools made in-house. In addition, we're doing some state-of-the-art testing with our EDM machine on trying to make really small holes so that potentially in the future we would be able to do very small orifices if that's something that your customer is interested in. We also have a lights-out manufacturing program, which cuts down lead times but also cuts down costs. And we have a lot of research and development. We're looking into other new processes such as 3D printing and some other things that are kind of cutting edge manufacturing. Clippard also has the agility and the ability to ramp up quickly on production. As we hear about a little bit later in this presentation, we've gone from 0 to 500 pieces a day on an assembly recently in less than 3 months. One of the other things that Clippard has is great supplier relationship. This is an example of a project that we worked on where basically everything that's involved in this project, Clippard did not actually make. We worked with a PCB supplier, which we have a great relationship, which can do custom PCBs for us. The customer required a diffusion bonded manifold rather than our standard acrylic manifold that we make here in-house. So we worked with another supplier on that, and this also has about 2 dozen custom 8mm valves in it. So the customer's requirements were that they had very specific requirements for the manifold, the valves, and the PCB. Clippard worked with our suppliers to get these custom parts and then assembled it here and sent it to the customer as a finished package. So that's something that's available to you, is utilizing those great supplier relationships that we have. So next we'll talk a little bit about some of our assembling and testing capabilities. Does your customer need a special certification? That's something that Clippard can get for your customer if it's something that they have significant quantities and it might be useful to other customers as well. For example, we have a customer recently that we got IPC certified for just that customer, but we believe that this certification will assist us with other customers as well. Clippard has clean rooms in both of our facilities. We can build and test entire assemblies. We can do special cleaning and inspection, and everything that's made in the clean room is double bagged before it leaves the clean rooms to ensure that it remains clean. One of the things that we're able to do with our clean room facilities, since we have plenty of clean room space, is we can actually do assemblies like this in the clean room. This application was for a customer who is doing a special brain therapy for folks who have had traumatic brain injuries, and they're basically flowing a mixture of xenon, oxygen, and nitrogen to the patient, and using that mixture of gases as a therapy for the brain injury. So because everything that flows through this manifold and through these valves is going to an end patient, everything in here had to be specially cleaned. So we oxygen clean every single one of these. There's no Loctite involved. And then the entire assembly is then assembled and tested in our clean room. Clippard recently invested in a helium leak tester, which allows us to test down to 10 to the minus 11. Just to give you some insight into what that really means in real world terms, if you were to imagine a 2 millimeter across bubble, like in a champagne glass, at 10 to the minus 3, it would take 4 seconds for that bubble to escape into atmosphere. At 10 to the minus 5, which is about where most tires are tested, it would take 10 minutes for that bubble to escape. Coke bottles are tested at 10 to the minus 7, which would take 11 hours for that champagne bubble to escape. That's so your Coke doesn't go flat while it's sitting on the shelf. And just a side note there, Parker actually advertises their extremely low leak valves as being rated to 10 to the minus 7. And then 10 to the minus 11 is a 13-year time frame for that single little 2 millimeter champagne bubble to escape. We've recently started doing some testing on our standard EV valves here. These are not the oxygen clean valves, these are not the analytical valves, these are just the standard yellow cap valves. And 90% of those yellow cap valves actually pass the 10 to the minus 11 leak test. One of the other resources that we have available to us for assembly and testing is our automation team. This is a team that Clippard formed within the last few years and basically is focused on automation for assembly and test equipment, production equipment, and robotics applications. So this team helps for doing assembly fixtures for some of the custom applications. They can do custom test equipment where we can make a test fixture for here at our facility and then make a duplicate to send to your customer so that they also have the same tester at their facility. So now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the resources that Clippard has available to you as a distributor to help you sell our products. Tours of Clippard are a great resource for you. Clippard loves to have distributors and customers come to visit us here at our facility. If you want to bring a customer in to visit us, we think that that's a powerful selling tool. Our factory shows really well. Our employees are engaged and love to talk to people and explain about their jobs. That is a resource that is always available to you. If you want to bring your customer here, we are always open to that. Something that we've recently implemented here at Clippard are selling sheets. The way that I would describe this is it's really a project proposal as opposed to just a quote. This is for your more complex, value-added projects, either a really unique valve solution or an assembly that's complex, has a lot of different parts. And the idea here is that we give you, the distributor, a resource to be able to talk through some of the selling points, but also that this goes into your customer's hands and your customer is then able to do internal sales. You know, if they're trying to convince a higher up that this is the right solution for them, we're giving them all the tools they need to be able to have that talk. Response time. Who sets the pace? Clippard believes very strongly that the customer sets the pace. If the customer comes to you and says they need something quickly and they're really in a time crunch and they have a customer that is waiting on them and is going to be angry at them, we're going to do everything in our power to really deliver as quickly as possible. Now, obviously, there's some realism involved in that as far as what we're actually able to deliver realistically. However, I have seen people in this factory go way above and beyond trying to meet customer demands for lead time. One of the things that Clippard feels very strongly about and that we believe is vital to our success on these projects is a direct relationship with the customer. And that means engineers talking directly to engineers. And that's not to cut the distributor out of the process, but it's to make sure that we are having a good relationship with the customer on these projects. And we've shown that this improves communication, builds trust, and clarifies project challenges when you can actually have engineers speaking directly to other engineers. So what makes a good special project? For us, one of the number one things is direct contact with the customer. We believe that this is really important in order for us to be successful on these projects. We also want to have well-defined project parameters. And you might laugh at that because we all know that a lot of times we have customers that come to us with projects that they don't know what they want yet. But that's fine. We want to know what the customer knows they want at this point in time, and we can work with them to define those project parameters. But we want to be able to have that conversation with the customer about what's their timeline, what are their needs, what is the problem that they're trying to solve. And the last thing is value added. And I know this term can be a little bit muddled. I know a lot of people use it just to say we're making an assembly with a bunch of different items in it. But value added here, what we mean is what value can Clippard bring to your customer? What problem are we solving that they weren't able to solve themselves or that our competitors weren't able to solve? So that being said, what makes a bad project? Low value, one-time orders are not something that we're interested in. If it's not something that we're bringing value to that our competitors can't provide, then it's probably not a great fit. If we don't have direct contact with the customer, that is also going to be something that in our experience usually doesn't lead to an order. And then obviously there are going to be some situations where the project that the customer has is just kind of outside of Clippard's wheelhouse. And we'll try to look at the projects that you bring us and evaluate that quickly and let you know as soon as possible if that's the case for your project. So now we have Nate McEnany and Jason Wolf, two of our design engineers on our applications team, and they're going to talk to you a little bit about some example applications.
This application was a leak test application for a customer here in town. One of the big challenges that they had was they needed a large range of pressure range from 0 to 200 psi, and then they also added that they needed vacuum. They also needed to have high flow, so it was quick testing because they have an application that requires a quick test. Leak tight to 10 to the negative 11 is what we've been testing to on the new valve that we developed inside that is a normally open valve. One of the biggest things that allowed this to come to fruition the best way possible was the engineer-to-engineer relationship. Working with their engineer closely, we were able to go back and forth, sharing models, sharing design ideas, and visiting them on a regular basis to make sure that this application came to what it is today.
This is a demo application that we did here in town. We have a really good relationship with this particular customer. We've been working with them for many, many years. And this particular application goes into actual dental chair. They came to us and provided us with an existing design. And one of the main challenges with this project was that we had to work around that design, and they had many packaging constraints to work around. They more or less had a working prototype that they had built in-house, and we were taking their existing design and modifying it for manufacturability, modifying it for performance, and providing them with a leak-tight assembly that they could use. They've currently received these prototypes and are in the middle of testing. So we're looking forward to the results that they should provide in the next couple weeks. This particular application was successful because we were actually working on a water drawback valve with this customer. They came to us and basically presented us with the design, and we met with them, went over the design challenges, reviewed this with them at their facility, and came back and actually contacted the distributor, looped the distributor back into the project, and they are still currently working. We're working together as a team on this project.
In this application, this actually came through our vendor that we use in Italy. They got a call for the valve need, and they looped it back to us and our distributor to come back to us with coming up with a design for this load leveling application. In this application, they supplied us with drawings of what they wanted to fit inside their package. We developed a prototype with them, and through that whole process we ran into some issues where we weren't talking one-on-one with their engineer, and we actually flew up there, visited with them, ironed out all the issues that we had, And from that, we were able to create a second round of prototypes that worked for their application, and then we were able to ramp up our production to be able to produce 500 pieces a day for them within the first couple of months of getting the order. So the biggest thing that came from that is that we were able to develop that engineer-to-engineer relationship, looping our distributor back in and working with them to come up with an application that worked for their situation.
These applications are air hoist applications we've been working on for a number of years. This one came to us originally for supplying the valve. We provided them with the valve design and have sold that to them separately for many years. As of a few years ago, they came to us with a request to machine a manifold for them. This manifold is here as shown. They basically provided it to us with a number of different drawings. We more or less reverse engineered it and provided them with this application here as shown. This one here is, as you can see, much better quality, definitely easier to manufacture, and now we provide them with a complete solution. This is something that has led into a future business, not only from the pendants that we provide, but also the air motors. Nate here has some newer applications that actually were driven from the distributor locally in the area. They found the business and came back to us, and Nate's going to explain a little more about these applications.
Yeah, from those original designs, different customers have come to us wanting different pressure ranges and different flow rates, and from the initial designs we've been able to evolutionize them and turn them into different air motor applications and different pendants situations where they can do higher pressures, different pressure ranges, and even higher flow rates to be able to handle air motors even with the pendants that they were utilizing before. So through that distributor relationship and the distributor recognizing that they had multiple applications in multiple companies, they were able to then turn these different designs into things that they could use in multiple customers' applications.
So how are you going to remember everything that we just talked about? Well, Clippard has produced this capabilities brochure that basically summarizes everything that we talked about here. And this is a great resource for you to be able to take into your customer, hand to them, and talk through some of the things that we can bring to them.